Hello, everyone, and today is a special episode with Vera Thomas. This is my 20th show episode, Vera, this week. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I made it to 20th show. So I
Yes.
wanted to invite you as my special guest. And this show is all about sharing stories of other people who have gone through their fear. And I want them to share their story of them going through their fear to parents so they can share it with their children. So
Okay.
so that's what we do here every week. But today is a little different. I want Vera to tell me a little bit more about herself.
Okay.
So when did all of your greatness start, Vera?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I had to find myself
Mm,
because I grew up with no confidence, no self esteem. I was bullied and ridiculed and made fun of and told things like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're fat, you're ugly, you're nothing, you'll never be anything. And
mm,
so I grew up asking God, what is my purpose? Why was I born? And I was introduced to a book called The Magic of Believing
mm,
and by Claude Bristol. And that book really pivoted me and was a change for me because in that book, and I mean I followed the book to the letter. It talked about if you want confidence, act like you have it.
mm,
And it gave techniques and things that you could do to build that confidence. I did it all. I tried all of them. And then there was also a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that was in that book. And it said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission.
mm.
And when I recognized that, that's when I recognized it doesn't matter what you call me. It doesn't matter how you feel about me. What matters is how I feel about myself. And
Beautiful.
so that was the beginning of me recognizing. And then as I continued on and trying to find my purpose and what it was that God intended for me to do, I had gone to a seminar that was required by my job. And it was a 3-day seminar. The facilitator, she was so enthusiastic and she was so positive. And after the 3 days, I went up to her and I said, I want to do what you do. And so she became my mentor. And that got me started on my path of
Mm,
what I even continue to do, which is
mm,
training and personal development and coaching. And so I work with youth as well as adults. One of the things that keeps me going is I don't want any child to ever feel like I felt
yep.
hearing those things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you don't. And who are these people? Maybe can you tell us who
Well,
made you feel so bad?
oh man, it was adults as well as my peers,
Mm.
yes. And so when you hear things like that from adults, you believe it
Oh, yes.
because it's coming from an adult. And
Yes.
so, and I remember constantly asking my mother, it was like, why am I treated differently? What's up? What's up? My mother explained to me some things that made me recognize and understand that I can't. She just kept saying, Vera, make them out of a lie, make them out of a lie. She kept
Mm.
telling me that. And I tried to do that. I was the first in my family to get a college degree, even an advanced degree, and do the things that I'm doing.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. So this is something that, parents who have kids who are watching this show should recognize the words have so much
Yes,
power. So much
yes.
power.
Yes, words matter. That's why wherever you see me on some platform, you're going to see these words,
Mm.
and there's a purpose behind that. Words matter.
Mm.
And so I encourage parents, don't tell your children they're stupid. Don't tell them they're dumb. Don't tell them they can't do things. Don't tell them they're lazy. Don't even tell them they're bad
Mm-mm.
because you don't understand what that does to a child.
Yes, yes. So what words do you have back there? Tell us about that because
Oh,
it's very special.
I have words like encourage, courageous,
Just
strong, belief. I could turn around and read them.
I'm reading it. Beautiful, free,
Yes,
stay, be true, be true,
be true.
true. Yes, be
And
true.
let's talk about that for a minute. Be true. Be
Mhm.
true to yourself
Self.
and understand that other people do not have to dictate who you are.
Yes,
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You
yes.
were made with greatness
Mhm.
inside of you. So,
Mhm.
recognizing that, understanding that greatness within you. And there may be people that feel like, well, how do I know I've got greatness in me? Well, you were born with greatness in you.
Yes. We are all,
We
we
were,
all have.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And don't compare yourself with other people,
No.
because every time we do that, we fall short.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to touch on something that made you get to this greatness, Vera, is earlier you said that it's if you don't allow other people's words to get inside of you to do the work, then they can't. So tell
Right.
us about that. How can parents help with that for their kids? Because it's all about kids, teaching the kids to develop that barrier, right? Not allowing that
Yes.
into it.
Yes. And especially with bullying going on like it is in the schools and in
Mm,
our society, it's incumbent upon our parents to start instilling confidence and greatness in their children so that
mm,
when they are told these things, they understand and recognize that's not what my mother told me. That's not how I believe about myself. And some of the things that I did, because I ended up raising my son as a single mom as a result of being in an abusive situation. And once you're in an abusive situation, you lose all that confidence, all that self-assurance, all that stuff I had worked so hard to create in myself. I lost it all.
yeah.
But then after I left my husband, I recognized that I not only had to rebuild those things within myself, but I had to instill those things in my son as well. So,
Yes.
some of the things that I did, one, from the time he was a toddler, I had an affirmation on my bathroom mirror that
Mm,
I had him say every single day, every
beautiful.
day. And he had to say it 3 times out loud before doing anything else. While he's standing in the bathroom brushing his teeth, after he brushed his teeth, he was saying, I am intelligent, I am confident, I am intelligent, I'm creative, I am oh there were I am confident,
That's
intelligent, and creative. That's
creative.
it. I am confident, intelligent, and creative.
Creative.
And I would have him say that 3 times out loud.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And what's interesting, this is how I recognized it was working. When he was in middle school, he sang a song at an all school assembly. And afterwards, teachers and parents came up to both of us and said, your son Miles, he's so confident, he's so creative, he's so talented
Intelligent.
and intelligent. I was like, oh my, and we just looked at each other like,
Did they come to
we
our washroom and read our words?
it's like the very things I had him saying, other people saw it. And so,
Yes.
parents, one of the things you can do, and I think about that movie, well, I can't remember. Anyway, where the little girl, the maid kept telling her, I am loving, I am sweet, I am kind.
Mm,
That stuff is real. So, parents, start telling your child and your children that, affirm the positives about them, and then have them do it too.
yes.
Start having them speak life into themselves so that when they are around people that are criticizing them, people that are making fun of them, people that are trying to bully them, they'll have that strength within themselves because you instilled it in them.
Yes.
And they'll know, no, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I know I'm not stupid. I'm smart.
Yeah.
I'm not lazy. I work hard.
Mm,
I'm not bad. I'm a good child.
mhm. Absolutely. And that's the invisible shield you can give them.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. And
I
it's so
wonder.
important. It is
Yeah.
so important. Remember, parents, you are your child's first teacher.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. So I haven't introduced you. So tell us more about. So after that, you have gone to do some great work with children in the school system. Tell me more about that.
Well, I developed several programs for kids. One, my very first program, because I am a poet,
Oh,
I started a program called Poetry and My Vision that
mhm,
ran in the school systems for 10 years. And that program would allow kids to express how they felt
mhm,
about topics of their concern,
mhm,
either in short story form, poetry, rap, or even song. I had one little girl that had she when she came into my program, she didn't really have a lot of confidence, and it was an 8-week program. Well, by the middle of the program, she not only wrote a song, but she stood in front of the group and sang it. And it was beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. And I also developed an anti bullying program called Using My Power,
mhm,
a self esteem and confidence program called My Greatness. And I also have an all school assembly called I Believe in Me.
mhm,
And so those are the things that I do with kids. And as a result of working with kids and having programs that extended, like for 3 weeks, 8 weeks, 5 weeks, I would get these kids every week and recognize that I'm trying to instill greatness in them. I'm trying to build their confidence. And then they're going home to parents that are not doing the same. And
mhm,
that's when I developed my program for parents called Instilling Greatness in Myself and My Children. Parents are coming into parenting with their own unresolved issues, with their own baggage that they're placing on their kids. And so once we recognize things within ourselves that we need to change, and nobody's perfect, we all have things that we could improve upon. And I
mhm,
am not sitting here saying that you are not a good parent, but I
mhm,
am saying that there may be some things within us. I have to recognize there were things within me that I needed
mhm.
to change because I didn't want those things to be a part of my son. And
Yes.
so when we become aware, awareness precedes change.
Mhm.
And when we know better, we do better.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you have a show that you
Yes.
host called Vera Thomas Show.
Yes,
And
and I was honored to have you on my show.
yes,
It was so
yes.
great.
Thank you.
Yes, my show is designed specifically to uplift, encourage, motivate, inspire, and educate.
Mhm.
And you did all of that.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You
you for having me.
did.
Thank you.
You did.
I want our viewers to know how much love and how much you serve the parents community and the students community as well. So thank you for that introduction. I didn't get to, but we had a very good conversation. So Vera, so this show is about fear. Was there anything that you, while as you were growing up or any time along your journey, you were fear of something?
I want to talk about fear for a minute. First of all, fear is false evidence appearing
Mm,
real. However, if it appears real in our minds, then it is real. And oftentimes, the very thing we fear ends up happening. And then we say, I knew that was going to happen. And
mm,
because it's like a self fulfilling prophecy.
see.
In my case, one of my absolute greatest fears in life was the fear of being a single parent.
Mm,
I feared that greatly. I did not have my son until I was 30 years old.
mm, mm,
6 months after he was born, I became a single
mm,
parent. So that's self-fulfilling prophecy. But
mm,
the thing is, I had a choice. I could have stayed in that toxic, volatile environment
mm.
and raised my son because of the fear of being a single parent,
Yes.
or I could get past my fear and raise him as a single parent
Mhm.
and instill in him the things that I needed to instill in him for him to be the person that he is today. And I
Yes.
can honestly say he's one of the most positive people you'll ever meet, for real.
Beautiful,
There
beautiful,
are times when he has to remind me, Mom, you taught me this stuff. Why are you going through all this?
beautiful, beautiful.
And so when it comes to fear, there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Feel the fear and do it
Do It
anyway.
Anyway by
Mm.
Susan Jeffries. I
Okay.
read that book. It's an old book, but you can find it, I'm sure, on Amazon.
Hmm.
It's a great book to help us recognize our fears and even look at where do our fears come from and
Mm.
why are we allowing when fear becomes debilitating and it keeps us from moving forward, that's when it's a problem,
Yes.
because then we're allowing that fear to keep us from our greatness. And so being able to look beyond the fear,
Mm.
and also, I mean, there's all kinds of fears. Now, of course, as parents, we don't want to see our children in danger. And so there's a fear when we see danger, then there's that fear that it's going to impact them. And so we then get into the bear mode, the parent mode that got to get them out of this danger. And so when that kind of fear is something, but when we have a fear of moving forward, a fear of failure, a fear of trying something new, a fear of not stepping out of our comfort zones. Those
Mm.
kinds of fears debilitate us
Yes.
and keep us from doing the things that we are supposed to do, that God intended for us to do.
Yes. So when you left, how did you overcome that fear of being a single mom with such a small child?
Well, understanding that when he attacked me in front of my son, when my
So,
son was 3 months old,
mm.
I knew right then,
Mm.
I am not raising a child like this.
Mhm, mhm.
I knew then, and fear went out the window. It,
Yes.
it just went right out the window. It's like, the fear is raising a child like this and having him come out to be like that,
It wasn't an
or
option.
the fear of stepping outside my comfort zone and raising. And it was not, being a single parent is not easy.
No.
I went through a lot of stuff, a lot of things as a single parent.
Mhm,
But I don't regret being a single parent. I
mhm.
don't, because otherwise I don't know what type of person my son would have turned out to be.
Yeah, you want the right examples for him. Yeah. And for
Exactly. And as a single parent of a male child, it was also important for me to have him surrounded by positive male influences.
yes.
So, one of the things I got him involved in the Big Brother program
Mhm.
and in sports and things like that, where other strong men, positive men could pour into him. And so, so even though I was a single parent, I didn't rest on just me having to do it by myself.
Yeah, you have.
I reached out and not only, and there were family. I had family that was supportive and there for us as well.
You had a community for him. You were in a
Community, yes, that's the
yes,
word.
yes, absolutely. So, if someone's listening right now, and if they're in a toxic relationship, and they're on that fence, we all stand on the fence before we make a move like that, right? And
Yeah.
for you, it was evident because there was physical involvement. But for someone who's not in that physical situation, what do you tell them? Because that's a fear for many women, right?
Yes. What I want to say to you, first of all, abuse does not have to be physical. It can be emotional,
Mm-hmm.
it can be mental, it can be verbal. If you are in a relationship where you are being called names, you are being demeaned, someone's trying to control you and tell you what to do, how to do it, and when, and you do have children, and I know it's hard. It's hard. There's that fear of stepping out on your own is there. I understand it. But think about your children. So many times, mothers will say, I stayed in the relationship for my kids,
Mhm.
when in actuality, it's hurting the children because they're seeing something that they eventually feel is the norm.
Yes.
This is how it's supposed to be. No, it's not. And so, if you are not confident in making that move, if you fear making that move, but one thing, you can call me, you can be in touch with me, and let's talk about it. And let me
Absolutely.
help you get through and build the confidence and self assurance that you need to be able to make that move. And I speak from my own experience
Yes.
because I know it's not easy, but you want to raise healthy, happy children that are not filled with anxiety, depression, or even some physical issues like stomach aches or being reserved and not feeling comfortable speaking out. You want your children to be full of life.
Yes.
And a lot of times, if you're in a toxic environment, trust me, it is
Mm.
it's impacting on your children.
Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you can contact me.
Yes. Contact Vera Thomas. She'll help you. It's really important, as you said, you do not stay and say, I'm doing it for the kid when it's the opposite. It's the truth.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I
That's so.
can't impress upon on mothers enough. And I mean, and also now let me back up and also say that there are men that
Yes.
are also in abusive relationships
Mm.
where they're being belittled or they're being character assassined. You don't have to stay in that either. You do not. And it takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes courage
Yes.
to get past that fear.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, I'm doing a workshop on June 3rd
Mm.
to deal with misconceived behaviors and those things that may hold us back,
Oh.
not only in our families, but also in the workplace. My background includes over 40 years in training and development, working with companies, organizations, schools, and churches, adults, work employees, leaders, all of that. And
Yes.
so this program culminates that experience of the attitudes and behaviors that we find in our homes, that we also find in our workplaces that impact on productivity, impacts on performance, impacts on relationships within the family.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely
that's
love it. June 4th,
June 3rd. It's on a
3rd,
Saturday. It's
3rd.
at 12 noon. It is free.
Okay.
It's a,
Live, online.
it's online. Actually, if you go to LinkedIn,
Okay. I'll get the link and put it here.
thank you. Okay, on LinkedIn, that's primarily where I am advertising it right now.
Okay.
But I will be advertising it on other social media, and those who are interested, then I will contact them and give them the link to get in on that particular workshop. For some reason, I'm having a major problem with my Eventbrite. I don't know
Mm.
what the problem is. So I'm just going to use the link that's on LinkedIn for
Okay.
people to sign up and say they're attending, and then I'll get in touch with them
And
and
then,
give them the link for the workshop. And it will be on Saturday, June 3rd at noon, and it's from noon to 1. But you will leave out with some results, some things you
perfect.
can do
Perfect.
to deal with some of these misconceived behaviors. Now, there are 20 misconceived behaviors.
Mm.
Now, of course, in an hour, I can't cover all of those. So I'm only going to cover a few. And then if people are interested in working with me to delve into these other ones, that's the whole purpose of us looking at the ones that I'm presenting.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds amazing. 20. That's a
Yeah,
lot. That's
that
a
is
lot.
a lot.
Lot of unpacking
A
to
lot.
do.
A lot.
A lot.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I will get the link and put it on this show so they have it as well. So let's talk about what would you tell your younger self about fear if you were to go back and tell the younger Vera?
I would tell my younger self, well, first of all, because I grew up in a religious family and there are scriptures that really talk about fear. And so when I recognized my relationship, I recognize one, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of
Mm,
love and of power and of a sound mind. Recognizing that fear can hold us back, stepping out of your comfort zone. An example, one of the things that this book talked about, now this is a way to step out of your comfort zone. I'm giving you a suggestion here. All
okay.
right. So this book talked about a way to get past fear. You know how we go on elevators and everybody's standing at the elevators just looking at the numbers? Well, it suggested that when you get ready to get on the elevator, you do something and you come out of your comfort zone. So, what I did, the elevator door opened. It was full of people. And when it opened, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And of
Nice.
course, they looked at me like I was crazy, but I had to step out of my comfort zone, right?
Yep.
And so do things that you may be fearful of doing, like bungee jumping, for an example,
Yep.
or zip lining. And that was fearful for me doing zip lining, but I did it, and it was
Yeah.
so exhilarating. I really loved it. So do things that you feel apprehensive about. That's not going. I'm not saying do something that's going to kill you or be dangerous, but do something that you've thought about doing, but you've had this little fear that I don't know if I can do that or not. Do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just
Awesome.
do it.
That's the message. Just do it.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I always tell my students, you can do it.
Yes.
You can do it.
You can do
Yeah.
it.
So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Vera. I know, there was a little mix up, but we made it work, and you were on my special episode for
Thank you.
the 20th, day of being on the air with my show. So, do you want to say anything last thing to parents who are listening?
I have several poems that I've written for children or written
Mm,
about children. And I, this one I share all the time, but I'm going to share it again.
mm,
Children are people too.
mm,
Show them the good inside of you. Give them praise for tasks they do. See their light shine bright through the light which comes from inside of you.
mm,
Children need all we desire so much: the love, the hug, the kiss, the tender touch. The attitudes we express to them are the messages they learn to send. From examples like you and me, our children grow to be what they see. Do you show hatred, indifference, or love? Do you yell and scream no matter what, in spite of? Have you shared kind words with your child today? Have you truly listened to what they had to say? Or did you just ignore and continue on your way, hoping they get the message and go somewhere and play? Children are an extension of all that we are and the most valued God given gift by far. There are so many things they must grow to understand. We must guide and lead them with loving, outstretched hands. Teach and treat children as people too. See their light shine bright through the light that comes from inside of you. Now, they can get that poem free. They can download that particular poem.
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. If you put in go to bit.ly/Vera Thomas, that has all my links for
Okay.
people to get in touch with me and also to download that particular poem. I give that as a gift.
Okay, awesome. I'll put that link in the show notes. Um, I'll take it from you after we
Okay.
finish this and put it
All
in. But
right.
that I'm still thinking about your poem. That's so nice. That's so
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You
Thank
had
you.
it encompass everything and so powerful. Thank you so much.
You're
You were
welcome.
you are greatness.
Oh, you are too. Yes,
Thank
you
you.
are. Yes,
Thank you
you
for
are.
being here, and thank you all for listening to the show and being here on this special episode with Vera Thomas. I'm going to put all her links in the show so that you can contact her and even attend her June 3rd event online. Thank you for tuning into our show, and we will go live again next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you're interested in making learning easy for your child, please book a call with one of our certified learning success coaches at learningsuccessacademy.com. Until next time, see what's on the other side of fear. Let's ignite and inspire children to push past their fear and make fear not a factor for them. Thank
Yes.
you, and I'll see you next week. Thank you,
Thank
Vera.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.